So first, I just want to welcome everyone to the 46th Annual Human Rights Day Luncheon. This is an event that is co-sponsored by the United Nations Association of Monterey County, as well as the Baha'i Faith communities in Monterey County. So we're just so excited to have been able to offer this event for so many years. So happy that you all keep coming back and that we have new people joining us.
I hope you enjoyed your lunch, and I'd like to get going with the program. Greet everybody here today. Thank you for joining us. As Christina said, we've been organizing these luncheons for many years. My name is Boyd Haight. I'm the president of the Monterey Bay chapter of the UN Association of the USA. And our chapter, along with the Baha'i Faith communities of Monterey County, we're pleased to celebrate Human Rights Day with you as we have for over 40 years. At the outset, I'd like to recognize and give a shout out to the 9 local community organizations that are co-sponsoring the event. They are listed in the program that you have on the table on the inside cover. And I hope you had a chance to speak with them on the tables. They are active in advocating and defending human rights in our local community. And we thank them all for their good work to build a better local community environment. So please consider supporting their work through contributions of time or resources. And I'd also like to thank Mercuria Gordon, Christina Wright, Joan Codman, Lisa Workinger, Rob Williams, and all the volunteers who helped with the preparations for this event. We've been working on it for the past couple of months. I'd also like to thank the Unitarian Universalist Church for making this fine venue available, in particular the church administrator, Amy Razak, for her logistical support. I'd also like to recognize one elected official who's joining us today, Monterey County Supervisor Kate Daniels. And I'd also like to recognize many past Human Rights Award recipients who are in attendance today. Catherine Crockett, Fred Jellis, Adriana Malgoza, Jane Parker, Did I miss anybody who's here not on the list? Because
you said Judy Karras?
I said Judy Karras, sorry. Sorry?
Oh, wow.
Okay, sorry. I did not. Oh, yes, I did. I did Thanks. So while we're here today to celebrate Human Rights Day, it's also important to recall briefly the role of the United Nations in promoting human rights. Now, as you know, the UN was founded 80 years ago in 1945 in the wake of 2 disastrous world wars. Representatives from over 50 countries met just down the road at the San Francisco conference in the spring of that year to draft and sign the UN Charter. And this new body was created to prevent future world wars by promoting international peace and security, developing friendly relations among nations, and encouraging international cooperation. Its work is built on 3 pillars: peace and security, human rights, and development. Now, the UN Security Council has the primary responsibility for promoting peace and security through conflict prevention, peacekeeping operations, and taking collective measures to address threats to peace. It is not a perfect organization, but it does provide a forum for urgent debate and action by governments of member nations. And in this context, the citizens and civil society organizations of each member nation have a critical role to play in promoting peace and security by electing, influencing, and holding to account their governments. In these challenging times, this responsibility is even more important than ever. And many of the people and organizations in this room, many of you, most of you, if not all of you, are taking concerted action to influence our elected officials. So I want to thank you all for that, for turning out in this civil society organization and go back and continue to your advocacy work for peace, security, and human rights. Now, the UN and its many funds and programs and specialized agencies have been successful in helping nations work together to solve economic, social, cultural, and humanitarian problems. For example, the World Health Organization helps to provide access to vaccines, healthcare, and better nutrition, and continue to deserve our support. One area that needs advocacy. The UNICEF, which is the UN Children Emergency Fund, amplifies maternal and child health care education in developing countries. And the UN High Commission for Refugees protects the rights and well-being of refugees from conflict and national disasters. So the UN is very active on the ground, perhaps not so much here in the United States, but receives significant support from our government, has in the past, and this is an area that needs to be pushed again with representatives in the future. The UN does bring benefits to American citizens, to businesses and government agencies by promoting world peace and stability, as well as social and economic progress. And in that regard, it deserves our support. Now, across all of this work, the UN promotes and encourages respect for human rights and the fundamental freedoms by member nations for all people without any distinction. This is reflected in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that was enacted by the United Nations 77 years ago on December 10th, 1948. That's next week. That's why we're celebrating the anniversary at this time. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a milestone document that sets out the fundamental human rights to be universally protected. This means that states, member governments, have obligations and duties under international law to respect, protect, and fulfill human rights. As individuals, we are entitled to our human rights, but we should also respect and stand up for the human rights of others. Now, in this period of turbulence and unpredictability, we need to reaffirm these values and show that they are positive and essential and attainable. Human rights are not only protect, but they also bring joy, happiness, and safety into daily life. Human rights are really about the way we live. They are in the food we eat, the air we breathe, the words we speak, and the opportunities to pursue the protections that keep us safe. Human rights are the essentials we all share, the common ground that unites us across differences of race, gender, belief, or background. In a world of uncertainty, human rights remain our everyday constants. And when everything feels unstable, your right to safety, to speak freely, and to participate in decisions that affect you become the bedrock of our lives. And I think we all recognize that human rights are attainable. They begin with us as individuals, the small, everyday choices that we make, from treating others with respect, from speaking against unfairness, from listening to those whose voices are often ignored. Every day, choices and voices matter. They build a culture of dignity and fairness around us. But human rights also depend on collective action. In communities, movements, and nations, and I need to be communities and movements such as those we've seen here today and come together to demand justice and equality. By embracing and trusting the full power of human rights as the path to the world we want, we can become more peaceful, equal, and sustainable. So those are just a few words about the important role of respecting human rights in our daily lives as individuals, as well as more collectively as organizations and nations. So our program this afternoon honors 2 local champions of human rights in Monterey County. For this, I'm going to hand over to Trav Williams, who will lead the presentation of the annual Human Rights Awards by the Bahá'í Faith Communities of Monterey County. So Trav, you have the floor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, friends. It is an honor to be here representing the Baha'is of Monterey County as we present this year's Human Rights Awards. Christina Wright gave this introduction last year. She did such a good job. I asked her if she could share her speech so I could have some ideas, and I'm actually plagiarizing pretty much the entire thing, which is something I tell my students not to do. Well, she's a fellow professor, so we can cut each other some slack. The human rights framework, so eloquently given shape by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, marks a milestone in humanity's collective efforts to build a more just and peaceful world. Yet, widespread discrimination, oppression, and failures to uphold international law result in the suffering of millions and thwart the advancement of humanity. The Baha'i international community believes that human rights achieve their highest expression when understood in the context of human relationships within the family, the community, and among the world's nations. Viewed through this lens, human rights are a vehicle for all to realize their inherent potential and to ensure the same for others. Guided by these convictions, the promotion and protection of human rights has long been a pillar of Baha'i engagement with the United Nations. Specifically, we have focused on promoting the rights of minority populations, girls and women, the eradication of racism, and the right to freedom of religion and belief. For more than 70 years, Baha'is have worked with NGOs and collaborated with the United Nations in an effort to strengthen the mechanisms by which the vision of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights can find full expression. At the international level, Baha'is participate actively in meetings of the Human Rights Council and its agencies. Our representatives engage regularly with the UN Committee on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, and related NGO committees. At the national level, our Office of Public Affairs actively interacts with members of Congress. We also encourage and promote U.S. ratification of key international human rights treaties and strengthening U.S. engagement with international institutions. Here in Monterey County, Baha'is serve as members of the UNA Monterey Bay chapter, and since 1980 have presented an annual Human Rights Award. For the first time this year, we are doubling our efforts and recognizing 2 humanitarians. Other very worthy nominations were received, so please consider submitting or resubmitting nominations for next year's award. I am now delighted to invite to the podium a world-renowned activist, actress, Grammy-nominated musician, and ambassador for peace. Holly Near is also the composer of the song "We Are a Gentle, Angry People," also known as Singing for Our Lives, which appears in the Unitarian Church hymnal. She will share a song with us today and then introduce our first award recipient.
congratulations and appreciation to you, Yvonne and JT. It's an honor to be here. I am many things, a singer, a songwriter, a producer, an author, but what does not get put into my resume very often is that I'm a friend of JT Mason's. And have been for over 50 years, I think, yeah. Rest assured that I will sing a song later, but right now I want to focus on JT. Why do we care about community organizers? I believe they take the good intentions, the human capacity for love and compassion, the courage to rise up, and they expand it so that we can be seen and be felt and be heard. And once that happens, the doors are opened for change. A community organizer creates a space, an invitation, a challenge, a public embrace. Years ago, before it was safe or popular, JT, along with her co-lesbian feminists of Demeter Productions, created a concert. They got a 900-seat hall. They invited artists to perform, not just any artists, but artists whose music inspired the listener to rise up to our best selves. 900 people showed up. They looked around and they were instantly assured that they were not alone in their care for this world, their care for women, their care for lesbian feminists. 900 people laughed and cried together. They pondered together, became creative thinkers together, were emboldened together. Their imaginations were released into the future. Someone or someones had to make that happen. JT Mason is one of those someones, a lifetime of making it happen, and then stepping back so that the outcome is not hers, but belongs to community. I think that had nothing to do with me. About 5 years ago, JT and Gretchen and I went to Hawaii for a vacation on Big Island. We visited jazz singer and longtime friend Rhiannon. And from her, we learned that indigenous Hawaiians were protesting the placing of a huge telescope on top of a sacred land on the Mauna Kea mountain. We went to the protest. At first, I felt our vacation was being interrupted. We weren't on a vacation from our full-time activism? Couldn't we just have a little break? But JT's energy for this journey soon resulted in a mighty gift to stand with Hawaiian people in prayer. A vacation indeed, a vacation from numbness, from arrogance, from indifference. By the way, the placing of that big telescope is still in limbo because of the Hawaiian people's steadfast presence. Sometimes being a social change activist is simply showing up. Sometimes it means having the courage to do the right thing, even if doing the almost right thing would be easier. It is one thing to be opposed to racism. It is quite another to dig deep and ask, what does it mean to unlearn the racism in me? In my organization, in my church, my school, my city council, my family, in myself. These are the questions one can trust that JT has been asking herself long before she asks it of us. And you, dear Gretchen, you offer such support. Your love for JT does not go unnoticed by me. Your shared love for dogs, raising a daughter together. A daughter who came down and surprised her moms today. Your ability to consistently beat me in Rummy Cube. JT, it has been a great honor to be your friend, your co-warrior on this astounding planet. Someone asked me one time, well, what are you? Are you a socialist? Are you a Democrat? Are you a communist? Are you a lesbian? Are you heterosexual? Are you... And I found myself unable to answer any of these questions. And it was the question that led to this song. I am open, and I am willing for to be whole. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. There is a hurting in my family, and there is sorrow in my town. There is a panic all across the nation, and there is a wailing the whole world round. But I am open and I'm willing, and I am willing for to be hopeless. To be hopeless would seem so strange, seems so strange. It dishonors. It dishonors those who go before us, those who go before us. So lift me up, so lift me up to the light of change, to the light of change. May the children see more clearly, and may the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though they burn our eyes. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion, and give me a desert to hold my fear. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder, and give me an ocean to hold my tears. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. And for me, JT, you are that song. You are the organizer who gains strength and wisdom from nature, who is available for criticism, so that you might undo things we have learned that need to be unlearned immediately. You are full of love. You acknowledge other people's well-being as well as their hardships and their trials. You represent to me someone who is a community organizer, and that starts from having the ability to love and to be a good friend. And thank you for that. JT.
That's not just a hard act to follow, I think that's an impossible act to follow. But I hope you can come back next year. Always welcome. So we have a few things to present to JT. Can I ask you to approach the stage here? If you would stand right here. And Matthias Milton is one of the youngest Baha'is we have here in the county, and he's going to be helping us out a bit. So first, we have a letter from Supervisor Wendy Rood Askew. Nice. Yes. And pun intended, I'll ask you to read it later. We have next a certificate from Assembly Member Dawn Addis. And a certificate from Senator John Laird. Next, we have a certificate from Congressman Jimmy Panetta. And before we present the Human Rights Award, I'd like to invite Supervisor Kate Daniels. She's here with us, so please come on up. And she has a certificate and some words to share.
Hello, Kate.
And I'm thinking I should probably just be quiet because that
I know.
was so incredible.
I'll sing a song.
But I guess just bust one out. Just bust one out. But I did want to get the opportunity to say both to Yvonne and to JT the important role that you play and that every single person in this room plays to ensure that we as elected officials are able to do our most important work from the dais. And what that is every single day we have an opportunity to either uphold and promote both civil and human rights, or make the inequities that exist in our county and in our state and in our nation increased, right? We have the opportunity to either make a decision that is going to take the injustices that exist and lessen them and uplift the most vulnerable in our community that need our support, and result, of course, then in a more thriving and resilient and sustainable county for all of us. Or we can make a decision that continues to perpetuate these systemic injustices and inequities. And that's the decision that's before us. And the hope, of course, is that you have elected officials that are thinking about this every single day. But we don't think about this alone. We think about this because all of you do the work that you do, and we are able to partner with you and make this county truly great. So I just wanted to get the opportunity to come up here and say thank you, and that we, in particular, I got to hang out with Wendy Root Askew, and we went to a conference this last week in San Jose. We were there all week, and I said to Anita Crawley, the conference was filled with both worker bees and peacocks. And we are the worker bees, and we showed up at every single one of the workshops to learn and to bring that knowledge back to our county. But there were a lot of peacocks. They didn't come to the meetings. But anyway, the worker bees are there to do the work, but we do it with you. We do it with all of you, and we learn from you, and we learn the issues from you, and together in partnership, we make this place as good as it possibly can be under the circumstances that exist today. And then we'll make it even better when we get through this challenging period. So with that, we also do have a certificate from my office, from the 5th District County Supervisor's Office, and just thank you for everything. And Yvonne,
Just a few more quick things. One of the organizations that sponsored today is Interfaith Outreach of Carmel, of which Diane Norby here is on the board. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you stand up. The other members were not able to be present, but if you don't know about Interfaith Outreach of Carmel, for more than a decade, they have been raising funds to help address homelessness. They've raised more than $1 million, primarily through their Joining Hands benefit shop in Carmel. So we thought an appropriate gift would be to give a $100 gift certificate that you can use at Joining Hands benefit shop, and thereby also be helping the homeless community. Thing that we have, I believe it's the last one, right, is the actual Human Rights Award certificate that we have printed and presented for you.
Yeah, Holly's going to make sure my posture's good, and Deb's going to make sure I go slowly. It takes a village. Okay, while looking at all of you, do-gooders and troublemakers, friends and allies, my heart is very full. After that sandwich, my teeth are very full. I feel a little bit like a baleen whale, so I'm sorry for the people. We're good, okay, all right, thank you. Holly, bless your heart. Thank you very much for that. She's been an inspiration, not only as a friend, but as a community organizer. And one of the things I love most about you is as we make mistakes, and you do it at international level, I do it on much smaller, but that we learn, and then we do better. So thank you. I am very honored to receive this beautiful award from the Monterey Bay chapter of the United Nations Association and the Baha'i Faith Communities of Monterey County. Trav and all of you, thank you very much for doing this. And thank you to all you lovely ones who conspired together to nominate me for this generous award. And as all of us who work for justice know so well, none of this is done alone. We all stand on the shoulders of those who have come before us and those with whom we now come together to organize, build community, and sustain one another in this joyful yet challenging time. Prepare yourself, this is a little bit of a gooey love letter to the people that I've been able to work with in the organizations because they have filled my life and filled our community so beautifully. First, I'd like to thank my home community, and I will start off with my mom, who grew up in the conservative southern Ohio of bankers, but went on to organize the Independent Voters of Ohio, became a delegate from McGovern, and helped found a Unitarian Universalist church in a small town in southern Ohio, which led to so much for so many of us. And to my amazing daughter, who's a much better liar than I ever knew. I think her hobby is correcting me. And she has taken me on and helped me become a bigger, better person with trans rights and everything else that she would take me through. So thank you, and thank you so much for being here. It's just expanded. And of course, to my wonderful wife, the barbecue champion, who, despite having to live in a very closeted world for way too long because of her job and all, took a risk 41 years ago to date and then marry me. So bless your heart, and thank you for being with me on this journey. Reflecting on the various groups I've had the privilege of working with over the years, I'm like half a century here in Monterey County alone, I'd like to start by thanking my fellow founding board members of Demeter Resources, Polly Parker, Nikki Welsh, Kathy Stoner, Evie Bastian and Joan Weiner, and my rock, and my head speechwriter, Deb Husman. Do you ever have to give a speech, make sure one of your friends is an award-winning writer? It's a lot better since she got hold of this. I'm a little sorry. Oh, okay, no, I digress, sorry. Anyway, because of them and all the people who got involved with Demeter, we were able to build a thriving women's community. We put out a monthly newspaper, we sponsor women's sports, and of course, we brought people like Holly. And you're right, that 900-seater. It was one of the very first sort of community love-ins. We sold out the PG middle school, and down below at the beginning were all these tables of community organizers, and we fed each other and learned from one another and helped build community. And I also learned then the power of straight allies exemplified by Polly Parker. Polly would go before us, put on her white pearls, her most respectable outfit, and would go to the school boards and the Chamber of Commerce to book these venues. And then she'd sign away, and then we would fill them with raucous people, lesbians, gays, and straight allies. So thanks to Polly and her pearls for opening the doors. I also want to thank a lot of my kazoo people, KACU Public Radio, who taught me the power of music and words and how public radio is critical in building community because it gives voice and access to everyone in our community. I believe that my strongest impact, no matter what I do, from now, what I did back then, was just by being totally and fully myself on the radio. I talked about what it was like in my life. I normalized what a lesbian lifestyle looks like. I talked about my family. People came when we adopted Cassidy, And it changed people because it countered the negative, horrific stereotypes. They got to know me, they got to live through us, and then I got to present such wonderful music. So it was a really true blessing, so many, many things to KACU, and I hope we all can bring public radio back up to where it is. It's under attack, like so many things. I want to thank the Steering Committee of Whites for Racial Equity, who 10 years ago got together. Fred Jealous, Sue Paris, Caroline Haskell, Anita Crawley, and Elaine Gehrman. And all the others who worked to unlearn so much of the misinformation and the very important racial justice work that is ours to do as white people. It's been a joy to work with Juan Sanchez at Palenque Arts, to witness the power and resilience of art, music, and culture as a vital form of joyful resistance and celebration. And if you want to be a part of it, you want to talk about joy and looking beyond, we're doing a salsa party tonight. And everybody is most welcome to come spread the joy and dance. And finally, to my intrepid comrades, Adriana Mendoza and Claudia Melendez of the Solidarity Network of Monterey County, who show every day what it means to truly stand for, by, and with our immigrant communities. You've no doubt seen the horrific things that are happening to our neighbors and our friends. And sometimes it's easy to sit back and go, I don't know what we're going to do. Well, thanks to the work they do and that they've allowed people like Deb and Pam and I and other people to do, we are going to be having something on February 7th where not only music and food, but we will have tables to show you how you can get involved. Because this is a horrific, scary, scary time. And we want to be involved. Some of us can do this much, some of us can do this much. So you'll learn how to do that and also really see the joy of working together. That's February 7th. We'll be sending out publicity about that, but I hope you will join us. And of course, I can't leave this pulpit without thanking the Unitarian Universalist Church. Last time I was here, I was in a full Kermit the Frog outfit. Fuzzy, we were raising needed money for this church. If you're new to Unitarianism, just look at these wonderful banners. It says everything that we all feel in our heart and what we want to do. And it has been my guiding force and my moral compass in whatever I do. And I am so blessed to have had them in my life. And I want to thank Axel and Elaine and all the other fine folks who show over and over again that UU values means showing up for peace, justice. It's a faith that calls you to action. You don't just sit there on Sundays, you go out. And if you go to these events, you'll find a lot of us there. Reflecting back on the social justice work I've been so blessed to be a part of, I'm struck by the distinct thread of commonality that weaves them all together. The ways in which community is at the core of everything I do. I see how lucky I've been to be in communities side by side with such incredible people as yourself as we do this critical work. And I also see how bringing communities together is the joy and heart and what fuels my passion for justice. In closing, I'd like to dedicate this award to my dear friend, Palenque board member, Carmen Mexicano, who passed away far too soon, but still lives so warmly in our hearts. She embodied warmth, love, and generosity, even as she fought a very tough cancer. As we face these painful times of calculated cruelty and horrific assaults on democracy and decency, raining terror down on so many communities and values we cherish, I ask us to do what Carmen would do. When they seek to divide us, let us to come together even stronger in solidarity. Let us build beloved community and break bread together and have one another's backs in a creative, conscious, and caring way. When they seek to wear us down, to break our spirits into despair, let us find joy in the struggle and forge fierce hope into this resistance. Let us love and dance and do art and laugh and sing and feed one another as we organize in resistance. And when they spew hatred, let us just love each other even more and hold one another even more dear. Thank you.
who have attended in the past have known we've had a guest speaker, but since we have such wonderful honorees this year, we decided to have more time for them to be able to speak. And with that in mind, we'd like to invite up Brenda Thomas, who is going to introduce our next award recipient.
Good afternoon. If I had known they were singing today, I would have been ready. I'm always ready to sing, but when she was singing, I was like, oh my God! We're here today to honor my sister, and so that's what I want to do. Because if I sing, then you know. But that's being a sister. And that's what I want to talk about first. There's nothing like being a little sister, because I am one. But because I am the middle sister, I get to be a big sister too. Can you imagine, at 10 years old, God gifted me with a living doll. And her name is Yvonne. Now understand me, I enjoyed being the baby for 10 years. I knew that Santa would always bring me a new doll on Christmas morning. But I would take her to the bathroom and wash her hair, and by noon, she was bald. I would toss her on the floor, or pop her head off first, and then go outside and climb trees with my brother. But as time passed, I fell in love with my new toy. And I began plotting to hold her and make her a mini me. But God, He had a plan too. Growing up in Seaside, we were the Cosby family that everybody thought did not exist in a black community. Me and my siblings were blessed with the best parents on the face of this earth. And as a bonus, our maternal grandparents lived next door. Their love, their guidance, their encouragement, and constant reminder that we should reach for the sky because nothing was beyond our reach. But also to give back in return, and His blessings would come back twofold. My little sis, she is the epitome of what our parents taught us. She carries a heart that refuses to look away from injustice and a spirit that refuses to settle for anything less than fairness for all. She has turned her passions into purpose, working tirelessly to open doors, lift others, and transform systems so that equity is not just an ideal, but a lived reality. Her work reminds us that real justice begins with everyday courage. The courage to listen, to speak, to act, and to believe that change is possible. Her work has touched our communities, shifted conversations, and sparked hope. She stands for what's right, even when it's hard. Whether she is advocating for marginalized groups building programs that expand access, or challenging systems that fall short of the fairness. She leads with courage, compassion, and an unwavering belief in what is possible. When Yvonne walks in a room, just as cool as you please, and to a man, the fellows stand or fall on their knees. They swarm around like a hive of honeybees. It's the fire, I say, in her eyes, and the flash of her teeth, the swing in her waist, and the joy in her feet. She, my little sis, a phenomenal woman. Phenomenal, yes, she is. I could not be more proud of my little sis. Please, please help me honor this extraordinary woman, my little sis, Yvonne Denise Thomas.
We have some recognitions for you, Yvonne. First, a proclamation from Supervisor Wendy Root Askew. A certificate from Assemblymember Don Addis. A certificate from Senator John Laird. A certificate from Congressman Jimmy Panetta. A proclamation from Mayor Ian Oglesby. A $100 gift certificate for Joining Hands Benefit Shop in Carmel. My wife, by the way, is addicted to that shop. And the Human Rights Award.
I wasn't prepared that my sister was going to make me cry. Give me a moment just to compose myself here, but this is such a wonderful, wonderful honor. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm truly honored to accept this Human Rights Award for the promotion of equity and justice. This recognition means so much because my journey has always been rooted in service. Service to community, service to families, and service to the belief that everyone deserves to live with dignity, safety, and opportunity. My work, whether in journalism, community activism, or now as board chair of the Hospice Giving Foundation, has always centered on one question. How can we make sure people feel seen? Because when people feel seen, they feel valued. And when people feel valued, justice has a chance to grow. My commitment to equity also comes from my roots as a journalist and a storyteller. I learned early on that who gets to speak and who gets listened to shapes the world we live in. So I've made it my responsibility to lift voices that are often unheard, to challenge systems that fall short, and to help build pathways where barriers once were. I was born on the former Fort Ord, and raised in Seaside. Throughout my life on this Monterey Peninsula, I've had the privilege of standing alongside advocates, educators, faith leaders, caregivers, and everyday residents who refuse to give up on equity. I've had the pleasure of sitting in my own living room at home and having a personal conversation with my congressman, who I now call a friend, and to also sit in a variety of boardrooms and community halls, listening to stories of friends, colleagues, and strangers who have told stories of resilience, stories of grief, stories of possibility. All of those stories and conversations, they guide me. They remind me why this work matters. I attended this Human Rights Day luncheon for the first time 5 or 6 years ago with Mr. Josh Stewart, who was president of the Monterey County branch of the NAACP at the time. I was eager to attend local events with him, to act as a sponge and soak up whatever wisdom he was willing to share with me. I had not ever considered running for NAACP president, but Mr. Stewart would not take no for an answer. He was determined that I would run and that I would win. He saw something in me that I had yet to recognize myself. After listening to Mr. Stewart speak and tell stories about his lifetime of work fighting for civil rights across this nation, I remember telling him that I would never be able to engage an audience with the type of stories that he shared. When I told him that, he gave me some very wise words to live by. He said, "You don't need to try to be Josh Stewart. Just be Yvonne Thomas." Mr. Stewart passed away in February 2024. He and so many of my mentors, like my parents and my grandparents, have passed on. And they all left very big shoes to fill and a blueprint for the legacy that I strive to uphold. I am a firm believer that everyone on this planet has a gift. The challenge is figuring out what your gift is, and when you do, it is then your duty to share it to make sure that this world is a better place. My journey has been shaped by communities that hold both beauty and struggle. That defines the city of Seaside to a T. I was raised in a beautiful melting pot community, surrounded by an extraordinary group of smart, educated, brilliant minds. Trailblazers who fought hard for affirmative action and diversity, equity, and inclusion. People whose courage has taught me that equity is not a concept, it is a lifeline that saves, protects, and empowers. As many of you know, my commitment to justice was strengthened during my time as president of the NAACP. In that role, we launched programs that brought our community together in new ways. Equity dialogues that confronted hard truths about race, access, and opportunity. Youth leadership initiatives that lifted young people into their own voices and power. And community police engagement forums designed to build understanding, accountability, and respect. Those programs weren't just events. They were lifelines too. Moments of connection that said, "We see you. You matter. Your voice belongs here." Today, my work continues in a different but deeply connected space as board chair of the Hospice Giving Foundation. I've learned that equity at the end of life is just as essential as equity at the beginning. I've seen firsthand how compassion and equity intersect. Access to quality end-of-life care is a justice issue. Supporting families in their hardest moments is a justice issue. Ensuring that every community has culturally responsive care, that is a justice issue too. And I'm grateful every day for the chance to be a part of that mission. These efforts reflect my guiding belief. People deserve dignity, not just in the easiest moments of life, but in the hardest ones as well. But let me speak plainly for a moment. This work feels heavier today because the world has been a sadder place in 2025. We are living in a time where rights we once believed were secure are being questioned, rolled back, or quietly undermined. We see it in restrictions in voting. We see it in attacks on educational truth. We see it in the widening gaps in healthcare access. We see it in the way marginalized communities are once again being told to wait their turn. We are witnessing a war on our basic freedoms. The State Department has quietly rewritten the definition of human rights to target abortion access, LGBTQ+ equality, DEI policies, free speech protections abroad, and even countries that allow refugees into their borders. In other words, if a country protects women, LGBTQ+ people, minorities, immigrants, or the public from violent speech, our current administration wants the world to believe that country is violating human rights. You truly can't make this up. This administration is weaponizing human rights to attack the marginalized instead of protecting them. Let's be clear, this is not a human rights policy. It is a culture war wish list disguised as diplomacy. This is not who we are. This is not what our country is about. The America I know has become unrecognizable. I was raised to believe that we were supposed to elect the best and the brightest to serve the people of the United States. We need wise, respectful, compassionate leadership, and that should apply to everybody. It doesn't matter what party you support. The people currently running our government in Washington, D.C. literally have blood on their hands. They are not the best nor the brightest that this country has to offer, and they truly are in no position to pass judgment on anyone. And these decisions by government leaders are not just policy changes. They are human changes. They affect real families, real futures, real lives. Pay close attention because this administration is holding a mirror up to society and showing us exactly who among us harbors hatred, bigotry, and self-interest above all else. Please be mindful of who you allow in your inner circles. So yes, today's struggles are great, but so is our resolve. If my work has taught me anything, it is this. We cannot control every decision made in Washington, D.C. or Sacramento, but we can control how fiercely we fight for justice right here at home. We can build locally what others try to dismantle nationally. We can raise our voices where others try to silence them. We can stand firm in our values even when the political winds shift. And that is why this award means so much to me today. Because equity and justice require endurance. They require us to keep going, even when progress feels fragile. They require heart, compassion, and courage. To the Baha'i faith community, thank you for naming human rights as a responsibility we all share. Thank you for recognizing the work of equity and justice as essential to human rights, and for reminding us that justice is something we must practice, protect, and pass on. This award is not only an honor, it is a call to continue the work with renewed energy, humility, and purpose. To my community, my partners, fellow advocates, elders, and young people who walk along this path with me, I feel you in this moment. I stand on your shoulders, and I would not be here without you. And finally, I accept this award not as a finish line, but as a promise. A promise to keep fighting. A promise to keep serving. A promise to keep lifting every voice that has been pushed to the margins. A promise to keep working until justice is ordinary and not occasional. Until equity is expected, not aspirational. And until human dignity is guaranteed and not up for debate. As I accept this award, I do so with deep gratitude and with a promise to continue using my voice, my platform, and my service to expand access, uplift families, and champion equity throughout Monterey County and beyond. And to everyone in this room, your commitment matters. Each of you plays a role in building a community where fairness is expected, where compassion is practiced, and where justice is not an aspiration, but a lived reality. I accept this award in memory of Mr. Josh Stewart, in memory of my parents, Raymond and Madeline Thomas, and in memory of my grandparents, Reuben and Fanny Smith. They would all be so proud, and so am I. Thank you for this experience.
To both of you. I have a question for both of you, and that is, you both referenced acknowledging that these are difficult times. So I'd like to know what makes you feel hopeful.
What keeps me hopeful is events like today, seeing all of your faces out there. Because what I believe and what I see right now is that people have not given up. And we can't give up. And the people that I mentioned earlier, like Mr. Stewart, and what I learned from him through the NAACP, they went through so many trials and tribulations that we are not going through right now. This seems like it should be easy for us to just withstand what we're going through. They were shot with water hoses. They were lynched. They were killed. We're dealing with a very difficult situation in the White House, which sometimes I don't even understand how it's happening, because there are checks and balances in place. And it's like the person sitting in the biggest seat in the world is just ignoring rules, and I didn't know we could do that. So what I don't understand is why something's not being done about it. And I mentioned in my speech that I actually do have a relationship with our congressman, who I can call on the telephone and he'll answer. And 7 or 8 months ago, I texted him and I was like, what is happening? And he wrote me back. And he's an attorney, so they're following rules and they're filing lawsuits. But it's not happening fast enough. And we're losing people because a lot of the younger generation is just giving up hope. But it's up to us here in this room to not let everyone give up hope. And to think about the past and what they went through in the past. This should be easier for us, and we're not giving up. We're not going back. Thank you, Mrs. Noble. We're not going back.
I echo a lot of what you said. I don't know if you've been watching the communities fight back in Los Angeles, Chicago, Portland. That gives me hope when I see the horrific things going after the immigrant community. And that people are waking up to see the horrors of that and how everything we do matters. Whether we can be out there at protests, or writing letters, or just changing the narrative in the conversations that we hear in our homes, in our churches and schools, to remind people the language matters because it sets the tone.
And that's, again, I will push February 7th because I've been so impressed by the pushback of Chicago and Los Angeles that people are standing up and taking care of their neighbors. So that gives me hope. The last election was very hopeful. The election before that, I was pretty depressed for a long time. But that last election, I think people really woke up and said, we got to get involved. So that gives me hope.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Holly Meir was the voice of a generation. They were folk singers. That means folks, of the people, of all of us. And they were songs of the heart and of the spirit. And when the whole nation was united, and this is going back 60 or a few less years, there was a hole when we sang, we were united, nothing could hurt us. We rose above the vicissitudes. We need folk music again. There are new generations. And the song came to me. I was doing the laundry, and a little voice, it was just I heard it, and it came as a song. I would like to offer it, because it's a metaphor. It's called Man of Good Fortune. It is male or female. We are people of good fortune, as opposed to rich and wealth and having powers. When we are goodwill and of good nature and of love and of equity and justice. So each of you, I'm inviting you to sing it with me because it has gotten me through a lot, a whole lot, and I'm not a folk singer. It goes, where are you going, man of good fortune? Where are you going, friend of my own? Whether you're going in search of new treasure, if you go well, you shall not go alone. So travel ye on, though footsore and weary. Travel you on with your strings in your hand. Travel you on, so the world, till the world is all weary, but till everyone sings across the land. Sing with me. Where are you going, man of good fortune? Where are you going, friend of my own? Whether you're going in search of new treasure, if you go well, you shall not go alone. And when you feeling negative, it'll lift you up until you've attuned with the higher. And we can do it all across the land, and love is going to save this country.
Thank you, Wanda.
Thank you.
I promise I have a real question, and it's for both of you. And it was part of what you were talking about, Yvonne, about young people giving up. I was raised by JT Mason, so I grew up going to protests. I grew up on picket lines, and I've never really had that cynicism that so many of my generation do. But is that youthful cynicism and the tendency to give up just part of being a young person and realizing how awful politics is? And how do we overcome it? How do we convince my generation that it's worth fighting?
Yes, I would love you to go.
I grew up in a similar environment. I mentioned my parents earlier. Also, my two sisters are here. Brenda that you met already, my eldest sister Peaches is there in the orange. My family, we weren't allowed to give up. So, and I'm the youngest, I'm the baby of the family. So I watched my siblings and what they were doing growing up. I also had so many people in my community, the city of Seaside. One of our mentors, Mrs. Ruthie Watts. I'm lucky to consider my second mom. I've known her almost my whole life. And she and a bunch of women were a part of a group called the Monterey Peninsula Cotillion League. And my sister Brenda and I were actually presented as debutantes. And Mrs. Watts and our mothers, we weren't allowed to give up. I don't think that we have the groups available now that were around in the 70s and 80s. So we need to reinstitute some of the groups that we had back then, and we need to be speaking to the Mrs. Ruthie Watts and to my sisters and Mrs. Garnett Noble, and listening to what they did and have them instill into the younger generation what they did to us when we were younger. Because what they gave us was invaluable. And for me, I didn't have a choice. I felt like there was no choice. This is what you do. This is how you conduct yourself. This is how you carry yourself as a lady. All of that stuff was just drilled into me from the time I was in diapers. So I didn't have a choice. But it's different now. So we need to remind people and start some of these groups again to uplift the younger generation and let them know that there is still some hope, because they are losing hope.
It's my turn. I have been impressed by the youth that I have seen. I'm a member of this church, and one of the things we've done when I was growing up, and in here too, is to give voice and to listen to youth. Cassidy was lighting candles and talking to people on an adult level. I mean, we give agency to children and listen, and I think it's easy to sort of go, oh, everybody's so whatever it might be, but look at all the movements and all the changes in language. You know, I don't always understand it. Non-binary, queer, there's this long list. That's why we finally put a plus on the end of it, LGBT, because it just kept going on. But look at people struggling and succeeding in finding new language to say who they are and what they want. I think some of what we need to do as the elders is step aside a little bit and to start listening more. I mean, yes, we do have wisdom and we need to be mentors, but we can learn a lot. And if we give them the agency and we listen to them, I think that sort of dispels, gets rid of the hopelessness kind of feeling. Yeah. Yes, okay.
I'm not on the panel. I just want, people ask me, how do you keep going? Or how do you keep doing this? And it's pretty simple. I don't like hanging out with fascists. Who your friends are, who you want to spend your time with, are people like you, like us, like people who care about love and social change and justice. And I don't think we should, with all due respect to the question, I'm not sure we should be asking how we keep hope. It's how do we keep human? How do we keep community? How do we keep friendships? How do we, and to lose hope in the face of what you were speaking of is such a privilege. And isn't it more of a privilege to be in community and in struggle? It is for me.
I'm always looking for new anthems that get me up and dancing, because if I can't dance to it, it's not my revolution. But I hope I'll see you all out at the next rally. We've gone from 3 million to 5 million to 7 million. This next one, we got to get 9 million to 11 million people out of the streets. It's so much fun. It's such a party. You'll love it. If you haven't been coming, come. And I just have to say that in terms of a new anthem, my current favorite, I have to say, is by Swan Court, and it's called We Descend. And it's so powerful. You listen to that song, it'll have you up and dancing out into the streets to join with all of us, everybody. It's powerful. It points the finger exactly at where we know that we need to change things the most. It starts with, they call it hate because they're afraid of the people they've betrayed. And then it goes from there. And it talks about getting out into the streets and marching, every slogan, every sign, is America in her prime. You know, we still are there. In fact, there are so many more of us than there are of them. All it takes is just getting out there.
Who wrote that song?
Oh, Swan Court, but it's called We Descent.
Okay.
And you can pop it up on YouTube.
All right.
So that's a song.
This is not really a question, it's a thought that I had when you were asking the question about young people. And my awareness is so strong that things go so quickly for them now. You know, we laughingly say it all started at Sesame Street, but everything is so fast. And I'm remembering speaking at in a classroom at CSUMB to a group of students who were being led by a teacher, professor, who had done a really good job of getting them to trust each other. And so they were very open, and they were very open with me. And they asked me about my civil rights experiences. And when I finished talking, one young man raised his hand and he said, "How do you keep doing it? I've been carrying a poster for a year and nothing has changed." It's like it's embedded in my brain, that expectation. And he was not, people were nodding. I mean, it wasn't like he was a unique being in that classroom. So I don't have an answer to the question. I do see lots of young people getting involved across the country. You know, we got a request for money from a 30-year-old in DC, for example, because she needed to feed people she was housing who were there for rallies. So young people are getting involved. I just think there's got to be a way of slowing them down a little. You know, and of everyone realizing that this is a long journey. And I started actively walking it when I was 12, and I'm 85. You know, nothing's changed. It's not walking, a lot has changed, but there's a lot that's left to change. And we do seem to go back, and that's the way we do it in this world. We don't go straight up. We go like this, and we go like this, and we overcome what we, you know, bounced under. So just don't give up the faith in them. That's what I'm asking for. Be with them in this. This is the world that my generation is leading them. You know, I just want you all to be really supportive of them. I think it was last year at this luncheon, maybe it was the year before, I got to use some time. They were asking for ideas about what we could do as a group. Coming to the luncheon, and I remember saying, if everybody brought one young person, it would be a change, a wonderful change. And we have one young person at this table. To bring a young person to a luncheon. Okay? Thanks, John.
Well, register early because we sold out this year, so get their ticket right away.
I think my question is light. JT, I have actually the same sort of question for JT and Yvonne. JT, could you tell us a national or historic Black figure that you admire and why, and a local person that you admire and why? And Yvonne, can you tell us a national or historic LGBT person you admire and why, and someone here locally you admire and why?
I still have a picture of Anita Hill in my office when she was testifying. The courage for that woman, what she did, what she stood up, what she continues to do. I mean, there are so many, and we all know a long list, but she really moved me deeply when she did that. And, oh my God, the list is so long here. One. Huh? Say Yvonne?
No, he said one.
Oh, no. You're supposed to do posture now. I mean, Anne, I gotta tell you, you've been there for so many of us. I don't know how you put up with us white people for so long. I mean,
It was hard.
I know. It's true. We have been very slow in catching on, and learning and unlearning. And God bless you. I always did that as a lesbian with a lot of straights who were trying to learn. And some of the questions, some things you're like, okay, deep breath. I have watched you hold our hand, encourage us, light the fire, to continue to look deep, to change things. And you were the one at a rally that said, you have to do more. Go out and talk to the white people and get them involved and make them aware of what's really going on. Don't just come to rallies every 28 hours when another black person is killed. Do the work. And so, bless you. You've made my life so much better, more open, more authentic. And I think you have moved so many of us in this room with your patience and your love.
I'm going to start with the local one, and I'm going to surprise him because, Stephen, it's actually you. And I'll explain why. I was born and raised here, and then after graduating from Seaside High School, I moved to Los Angeles and went to USC and stayed in Southern California for 30 years before coming back here when my dad got sick. And when I came back here and got involved with the NAACP, Stephen was the heart and soul of the NAACP. He did so much work for the branch and for this community. And when he had to step aside, I believe, for health reasons, there was a void created that was very difficult to fill. So, Stephen? The I didn't think I was going to say that. And on the national level, I do believe Angela Davis. Angela Davis, who I was a child when Angela Davis was in her heyday with the Black Panthers and everything going on in California. So I learned most of what I know about her from my elder siblings. Brenda. See, Brenda? I was a lot younger than my siblings. I'm 10, 12, and 14 years younger than my siblings. So they had posters up on the walls, they were playing music, and I'm just sitting there playing with my dolls, just absorbing all this stuff. And I remember seeing Angela Davis on the cover of like Jet magazine and Ebony magazine, and all of that stuff. It didn't really sink in. I read it back then and I didn't really understand it. And then as I become older, you see what an impact it made. And we don't have those kinds of leaders around right now. That movement is missing. So it's up to us in this room, and to pass it on to people that we speak to about what they did back then, and not let that history be forgotten. So, Angela Davis.
Congratulations, Yvonne and JT. John Silva from the campaign Protect Salinas Renters 2026. We, and there are a couple of other members here from the same campaign, Chris and Esmeralda. We wholeheartedly honor the work you've done over the years for the pursuit of social justice across both caste and racial lines. To the UN and the Baha'i communities, we truly appreciate this selection of Human Rights Award recipients, and will be moved and inspired by their work in the anti-poverty work ahead. Protect Salinas renters will be engaged in the run-up to the 11-2026 campaign, where we are seeking renter and tenant justice in Salinas. This is an issue whose time has come again. My question is for your support and blessing of our efforts for an equitable and just tenant environment in Salinas, because we need that intention, and because as goes Salinas, so goes Monterey, Seaside, and the many Salinas Valley towns and its peoples in their quest for economic justice at this time. We have a challenge ahead, we know, But with the support of people like you, JT, and Yvonne, people power will prevail again. Your support and your blessings, since we're in a blessed place.
You are our blessings. Thank you, John. Thanks for all that.
Thank you. I just want to echo everything that has been said. But I still think we need to be more involved with our school system, to work with the young people in the school district, to help the parents to teach them the right way to go. Because at one time I used to go to the school district. So I had a month. We had a group of students that were trained to modeling and all of that stuff, adequate and all that stuff. We need to get back to that. We need to work with our young people in the school district, work with our teachers in the school district, so the future will continue the way it is going right now.
Good afternoon, Jacqueline Simon. I echo everything that has been said here. At the end of the day, we need to look in the mirror and ask, what are we doing? What are we really doing? And then decide if it's not enough to do more. We cannot give up. I wrote a book 18 months ago and said that if the existing person gets in office, we will be at the level of a civil war. We're there. It's not bullets. It's taking their classes. I'm a professor. It's awful. I knew Angela Davis. She was one of my, as you know, guest speakers in my classes. I taught at San Jose State. Angela Davis, Maya Angelou. Even back then they said, keep your ear to the ground and continue to not give up and work hard for the future. So we're at a place that if we don't all stand up and stand out and not care about how people feel about you being serious about that, we're going to lose so much more. We already have. We need to not lose anymore. Thank you.
Okay, I think we thank you very much for all your questions and your input. We reached the end of our ceremony. And thank you. Congratulate again to Yvonne and JT for this merit work. I'm going to be joined on the podium here by one of the past recipients, Gregor Eddy, because we would like to encourage all of you not only to continue your community organizing work and your work to in progress and issues we've addressed here in human rights, but also to join us as the UNA USA Monterey Bay chapter. We're down now to about 25 members. Many of you will remember perhaps 8-9 years ago when Larry Levine was the president, and Larry has some health issues. He's in Merrill Gardens, but I know he wishes us all well. We had about 800 members at that time. So please, there are some membership applications. If you have an interest in the work of the UN, and let me tell you, I worked for the UN for 35 years overseas, working for peace and justice, in particular in the food sector. And we always met, the people I worked with always looked to the United States and Americans as being the beacon of how people get work together for justice and human rights. And I came back home 8 years ago, and it's really shocking. So appreciate everything you're doing here. We need to continue to rebuild. I know, McGregor, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I want to channel Larry because he couldn't be here. Listen, here's Larry. If you're concerned about happening in the world, join your local United Nations. That way we protect the United Nations that we need so desperately. It's very inexpensive and it makes a difference. And if you know any student, college student, MISS, defense languages, you name it, It's only $25 for a student and it looks good on their resume. I'm not kidding. If they're applying to be an international translator, the question will be, why weren't you in your local United Nations now that you're applying to work for us? It makes a huge difference. And he got a lot of members studying international relations. I want to bring back Larry Levine in spirit and ask everyone here to join yourselves and go home and recruit one more so that the United Nations is represented and the alternative to war of diplomacy is promoted and supported by us. And if you're here today, you want this event to happen again, do you? Yes. Then join.
Wish you all happy holidays, good holiday season. Thank you.